Alright, let's get straight to the gist. My people, this matter don't reach another level. In the past few days, there's been serious talk across the country, from the Niger Delta to the east, even voices from the north, all calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Big names are now speaking up, and it's shaking the political space in Nigeria. Just recently, Asari Dokubo, known for his strong views on national matters, spoke out again, saying that keeping Nnamdi Kanu in detention is not helping the peace process in the southeast. He said that no matter what anyone feels about Nnamdi Kanu, it's time for the government to take bold steps to promote dialogue and unity. Asari made it clear that peace cannot come from silence or oppression but from understanding and discussion. He also called on the federal government to show true leadership and stop pretending that the situation would just disappear. Now, you know Asari is not someone who speaks carelessly. Whenever he talks, people listen because he has history and he has influence. But he's not the only one adding his voice. Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, also came out recently to say that what's going on with Nnamdi Kanu is unfair. According to him, the government must learn to follow the rule of law. Soyinka said that when a court gives an order, that order should be respected, because if government disobeys its own courts, then citizens will lose trust in justice. And he's right, because how do you tell ordinary people to follow the law when leaders don't? Please, if you're just joining this gist, make sure you like this video and subscribe, because this kind of conversation is the one we need to keep having, straight talk about Nigeria's real issues. Now, Father Mbaka also entered the matter. During one of his recent sermons, he said it clearly, the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu is not helping Nigeria. He asked the federal government to listen to the cries of the people and release him, saying that peace will come when justice is done. You know Father Mbaka, he doesn't hide his mouth. Whenever he speaks, it trends. And this time again, Nigerians are reacting heavily to his words. Interestingly, it's not only from the south now. Reports show that even some voices from the north have started to join the call. Some northern leaders are now saying that it's time to end this long detention saga. They believe keeping Nnamdi Kanu locked up only strengthens division and suspicion among Nigerians. One of them even said, if we can grant amnesty to people who carried guns and came back to the society, why can't we use dialogue to solve this one too? And that statement is catching attention because it's true. If we're serious about peace, dialogue should not be selective. So now, the question many Nigerians are asking is, will the federal government finally listen? Because let's be honest, this issue has dragged for too long. The court has given orders, international human rights groups have spoken, and even some top politicians are quietly saying that keeping Kanu in custody is no longer helping the country. But you know Nigeria politics, there are always calculations behind the scenes. Remember, this same Nnamdi Kanu issue has affected the economy in the southeast. Every Monday, you still hear about sit-at-home affecting businesses. Many small traders are tired, students are tired, and even some security officers are saying the tension is too much. So, maybe this new wave of voices calling for his release will push the government to act differently this time. And as we are talking about it, we can't ignore how it connects to the bigger issue of national unity. Because if some parts of the country feel ignored, it will always bring unrest. We've seen this story before: Niger Delta agitation, Boko Haram, banditry, harder clashes. They all started from grievances that were not addressed properly. So maybe, just maybe, Nigeria can learn from all this and approach the situation with wisdom instead of force. Guys, before we continue, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We need more people to join this conversation because the more we talk about it, the more awareness spreads. Now, some political analysts believe that President Tinubu might actually use this as an opportunity to show leadership. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu could help him gain some political trust, especially in the southeast, where there's still tension about marginalization. But at the same time, others are warning that it could also spark mixed reactions if not handled carefully. One interesting twist in this story is how people online are reacting. On X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook, Nigerians are debating seriously. Some are saying Nnamdi Kanu should be released immediately and allowed to speak for himself. Others are saying that before any release, he must promise to support peaceful dialogue. But overall, the majority seem to agree that the time has come to find a political solution instead of just keeping him in detention. Now, while all this is happening, security experts are also warning that continued detention could be fueling insecurity indirectly. Because, according to them, when people feel oppressed or unheard, some of them might take laws into their own hands. And that's exactly what the government is trying to avoid. So the question now is, will dialogue finally win? If you are enjoying this gist, please click that like button and subscribe now, don't just watch and pass. This platform is where we break down the stories shaping Nigeria, so you don't just hear headlines, you understand what's really going on. Now, coming back to Asari Dokubo, he also mentioned something very important. He said, if we want peace in this country, it must start from fairness. You can't treat one group differently and expect the country to be united. And that's true. Because unity is not just about slogans, it's about action. Nigerians want fairness, not favoritism. They want justice, not just promises. Even religious groups are now joining their voices. Some church leaders and Islamic scholars have been calling on the federal government to consider reconciliation as a path to peace. They say, if South Africa could forgive after apartheid, why can't Nigeria forgive and move forward? And you know what? It's a valid question. Because at the end of the day, all this fighting, detention, and anger doesn't help us as a country. The economy is hard, people are struggling, and everyone just wants peace and progress. Now that more respected voices are calling for Nnamdi Kanu's release, people are beginning to connect this matter to 2027 politics, and honestly, it makes sense. Every move right now has political weight. President Tinubu's government is being watched closely, not just by Nigerians, but by the international community too. The way he handles sensitive national issues like this could define how people perceive his leadership going forward. If he decides to release Nnamdi Kanu, it could open the door for peace and dialogue in the southeast. It could also show that his administration is serious about inclusion and justice. You know, many Igbo leaders have been complaining for years about being sidelined in national decisions. So, a gesture like that could change a lot politically. Please, if you are enjoying this discussion, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I'm here to give you balanced, truthful, and simple breakdowns of what's happening in Nigeria. Now, on the flip side, there are those who say releasing Kanu could bring its own kind of challenges. They fear that it might embolden other separatist groups or encourage fresh demands across the country. That's why some government officials are being cautious. But analysts are saying there's a smart way to handle this, through a structured peace process. Imagine if the government sets up a national dialogue committee that includes elders, youth representatives, and security experts. That way, Nnamdi Kanu's release won't look like weakness, but rather like a calculated move toward national healing. Let's not forget, Nigeria has been in this kind of situation before. We've seen it with the Niger Delta militants. At that time, dialogue and amnesty programs helped to calm the tension. The same can be done here if handled with wisdom and fairness. Now, something else caught my attention. Even among northern elders, some are quietly saying that what is happening in the southeast could one day happen anywhere if justice isn't balanced. They are calling for equal treatment of all regions, warning that peace cannot survive where fairness doesn't exist. That kind of awareness is new, and it's a sign that Nigerians are beginning to think more nationally than regionally. If you think about it, all these agitations, from the north to the south, are rooted in one thing: people feeling left out. People want better roads, jobs, schools, electricity, and security. They want to feel like they belong in the same country. So, maybe what's happening now can be a turning point. And there's another layer: international pressure. Groups like Amnesty International and the United Nations Human Rights Council have repeatedly called for Nnamdi Kanu's fair trial and the enforcement of court rulings. Some foreign observers are saying that if Nigeria continues to ignore its own court orders, it could hurt the country's credibility globally. And that's not a good look, especially at a time when we're trying to attract foreign investment. Now, let's talk about the people on the ground, the ordinary citizens. Many are saying they don't even care about the politics anymore, they just want peace. Traders in the southeast are begging for normal Mondays again. Students want to go to school without fear. And transport workers want to move freely without being stopped by security checkpoints every few kilometers. The people are simply tired of living under tension. So, you can see why the voices of people like Asari Dokubo, Wole Soyinka, and Mbaka are shaking things. These are not small names. When such figures start aligning on one message, release him and start peace talks, it sends a strong signal. Guys, if you haven't liked this video yet, please do so now and subscribe. Your support helps us grow this channel and bring you real Nigerian stories, told in a clear and honest way. Now, let's look at how this could play into the bigger picture. For example, if the government takes this opportunity and releases Nnamdi Kanu under a peace deal, it might calm the southeast and improve national stability. But if they delay or ignore the call, tension could rise again, and that would not be good for the upcoming political season. Remember, elections are not far off. Politicians are already strategizing. The southeast is a region with millions of votes, and any step that promotes peace there will count politically. It might even influence alliances and future political appointments. Also, this conversation is inspiring more Nigerians to speak up for peace. On radio, on social media, and even in religious gatherings, people are beginning to say the same thing: let's give peace a chance. And that's something Nigeria really needs right now, because there are already too many problems: insecurity, cost of living, and unemployment. Let's be real, the average Nigerian is tired. They don't want more crisis, they just want solutions. So, if the government listens now, it will show maturity and wisdom. But if they continue ignoring these voices, it might backfire later politically and socially. Please, again, if you're watching this and enjoying the breakdown, don't forget to like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep the conversation alive. Now, before I round off this part, I want to connect one last angle: religion and national peace. When someone like Father Mbaka speaks, it reminds us that faith leaders have a big role to play in calming tensions. They reach millions of people every week. If both Christian and Muslim leaders keep preaching unity and forgiveness, it can help soften hearts across the country. And if government supports that kind of effort, Nigeria can start to rebuild trust again. So, my people, as we're watching this story unfold, Asari Dokubo, Professor Wole Soyinka, Father Mbaka, and even voices from the north, it's clear something is changing. The question now is, will the government seize this moment, or will it miss another chance to unite Nigerians?